Hey, it's Mike Whitfield with Sprint Conditioning, and of course this is for all my friends, including my friend Shauna Kaminsky, the Challenge Queen. And one thing that she wanted me to cover, I'm actually going to cover two things, but one of them is how do you get back into sprinting if it's been a while or you haven't done it, period. And so what I want to do is show you some alternatives to sprinting to kind of get you ready for an all-out sprint. So as you know, a sprint is when you run all out at a max effort for a certain distance. Now typically in my manuals, when I run sprints, it's typically 20 seconds or less. Every once in a while I'll get a little crazy and go 30 seconds, but anything higher than that, then your intensity starts to come down. All right, then you're really just doing intervals and you're not actually doing sprints. So with that being said, let me show you some alternatives to sprinting. The first thing is running in place, okay? That's when you bring your knees nice and high. Now, as you can see, this is kind of an exercise pace, if you will. But what I want you to do is remember, we want to match the sprinting intensity. So you want to go as fast as you can, but under control. So that's it right there, okay? That's the pace you want to go at. So that's running in place. Now, the next step down to kind of modify that, in case you're not ready for running in place and you want to take care of those knees, that's perfectly fine. It's called the split shuffle. What I want you to do is I want you to pretend that you're a T-Rex, all right? I want you to pretend you got your elbows locked. This is it right here. T-Rex hates push-ups. All right, with that being said, all right, you want your elbows locked in, okay? And what you're going to do is as you bring your right foot out, your right arm comes out. As you bring your left foot out, your left arm comes out, okay? So it looks like this. And you don't bring those knees up, all right? So nice steady pace right there. And of course, you can increase the intensity by going faster. So that's another alternative, okay? Another thing you could do is jumping jacks, okay? Jumping jacks is a great way to replace sprints. The only thing you gotta keep in mind is you do have to keep that intensity up. So this is not a replacement for sprints. This is as fast as you can under control, okay? So that's the order of what you could do in case you want to replace sprints. So if you have a program that calls for sprints for 20 seconds, you could use one of those exercises instead for 20 seconds. All right, so that's the first thing I wanted to go over. The next thing I want to go over was, let me look at my cheat sheet here, and that is how to scale a workout. It's a great question that Shauna asked. Of course, we talk about this all the time when we meet each other, but that is, there's three ways to do that, okay? The first thing you do is an exercise substitution, just like I showed you just now. So don't be afraid to use an exercise that is less intense than what is prescribed. That's the first thing. That's variable number one. Variable number two is what's called exercise volume. Volume, what I mean by that is how much work you're actually putting in. So for instance, let's say a program calls for 4 circuits, okay? What you could do to cut back on the intensity on that is, instead of doing that circuit 4 times, you do that circuit just twice, all right? So that's another thing you could do to modify a workout or finisher. Okay, so we got exercise substitutions, we got cutting back on volume, and finally, the last thing I want to talk about is how you can modify a workout based on your fitness level is rest periods. There is, although it doesn't look like it, there is a big difference between just 30 seconds of rest and 20 seconds of rest. There's actually a huge difference there. So what you could do is to improve or to kind of shift the workout to match your fitness level is increase the rest period. So if a rest period calls for 30 seconds in between, say, a circuit or a superset, you can increase that to 45 seconds, a minute, even a minute and a half. Because to be honest with you, if you're doing the workouts or the exercises with poor form and they're getting really crappy, then you're not getting the max benefit from them. I'd rather you have more rest so you're able to give it your full effort than do kind of a halfway rep on the exercises. So that's another thing. Now, of course, if you're experienced or advanced, you could certainly decrease the rest periods as well. But to modify a workout, you got 3 variables. 1, exercise substitutions. Number 2, that is cutting back on the volume. And number 3, that is increasing your rest period. So hopefully you find this beneficial. Shauna, I'll talk to you very soon. Of course, all your readers over with your challenge workouts, hope you enjoy this, and I'll talk to you soon.